Thanks for joining us. We're just going to give it a few minutes for others to join, and we'll start in about 2 minutes. All right, it looks like the majority of those that have registered are in. So welcome. Thank you for carving out the time during the work week to join us tonight. I will try to keep this as broad but informative as possible. So my name is Carrie Kee, and I'm the Camp and Recreation Director. I've been a part of Camp JCC at this J since 2001. So it holds a special place in my heart. The other people that are on the background of this are Anna Saul, who's helping with the tech issues, and Becky Stahl, who during the year is our Kids Place Director. And during the summer, she serves as our Camp Wellness Coordinator. I'm already having technical difficulties advancing to the next slide. So excuse me for one moment so I can figure that out. No matter how many times we go through this. There we go. So now you can see our put a name to a face, and Katie Glazier is our program director during the year, and leading up to camp and throughout the camp season, she does serve as our camp registrar. And the JCC leadership, for those that are not familiar, my bosses are Ivy, Mona, and Rob, and that makes up our executive team of the JCC. So let's dive right in. I thought that this quote was fitting. Albert Einstein was quoted saying, "The only source of knowledge is experience." I think that we're in a prime spot since we've had experience running a summer 2020 program through the pandemic last summer. We're currently running an after-school remote learning support program called Kids Place Extended Day. And then some youth activities have returned to the Siegel JCC throughout the pandemic. So we're in a good spot. We've learned a lot, and just looking forward to keep on improving. So let's dive right in. I know that there's a lot of questions surrounding COVID still. And so we do follow, and we will continue to follow the current Delaware state guidelines. We're also accredited by the American Camp Association, and they have a comprehensive field guide for the camping industry. So not only for the overnight industry, but also for day camps. I'm on a lot of calls and webinars with them, learning what the best practices are, learning from the camps that did run in different states across the country in 2020, and what the Camping Nurses Association is recommending. So they are a group of nurses that solely focus on camping, which is a great resource for us. So currently what we know, and I should just mention that, as you all probably know, this information could change in a month, and some of it probably will. So I'm going to speak tonight about what we know tonight, and that is everything that we're reading and hearing from the professionals is that the mask mandate is going to be a part of our life in summer 2021. So campers and staff will be required to wear a mask. The only time that they'll be able to remove that is if they're eating, drinking, away from anybody else with a greater distance of 6 feet and outdoors. Also, they will not be required to wear a mask in the pool. I'll talk about, I'll talk about swimming a little bit later. We also will continue to require frequent hand washing. So that'll look really frequent for those that aren't doing so right now. If they're remote learning, they probably aren't washing their hands as frequently as they will be this summer. And that'll be in between each period and before they eat lunch or snack. The outdoor and indoor space is very, very similar to how it has been in years past, but we're going to make a more concerted effort to stay outdoors. So if it's drizzling, expect that we're staying outdoors and not moving indoors at a little rain. And the same thing with heat. So if we're in a heat wave, we will be able to utilize the indoor space. We just won't do that as quickly as we have in years past. The other thing I'll say about the outdoor space is that we do have 3 covered pavilions in our wooded area, as well as a covered amphitheater, both the front and the back. So we do have some ample covered spaces that they won't be out in the fields getting rained on. So there'll be, rainy day programming utilized during those times. Our bunk size, we will maintain mandated or required camp ratios, but our bunk size won't exceed 15 campers. So those 15 campers will have 2 staff with them. And in years past, we would have just added a third counselor if the bunk size needed to increase over that ratio. So that's different for 2021. Our camp hours are going to be 8 to 5 without before and after care available. Again, that is to maintain the bunk bubble. So I haven't talked about that yet, and that's part of the ACA field guide, is that when campers are assigned a bunk for that week, that's going to be who they're with. So they won't be interacting with another bunk at sports like they would have been before COVID. We're not utilizing before and after care for that same reason, that we would then need to essentially pop their bunk bubble because they'd be mixing with other kids from a different bunk during those before and after care hours. So we are staying with an 8 to 5 schedule. I do fully understand that that's not conducive for a lot of working parents. And I'm extremely optimistic that 2022 it'll change. But for 2021, that's where we are. We do have a bus from Wallingford, Pennsylvania. If anybody on this call is interested and they haven't already talked to me about that bus, please reach out to me after and I can give you more information. But I did want to include that on here, as well as we will follow all of the ACA guidelines for how to maintain distance on the bus. I'm not concerned. We're going to be utilizing a full-size school bus. So I'm not concerned that physical distancing will be an issue there. And they will be required to be masked during that bus ride. So our programming this summer, I know that there was some questions before we started in the registration process. So hopefully I'll cover all of those. Our swim program, we are me and the aquatics director are working on safely returning to instructional swim. We have not finalized that, so I can't say Right now, whether that'll be a part of the program, we are educating ourselves. We will be on a professional call the beginning of next month, and we will learn from the experts of how can we do this safely? Can we do this safely this summer? And what does that look like? It is, big aspects to Camp JCC programming. And I think that we are unique in the fact that we were able to provide instructional swim every day for our campers. So I am interested in getting back to that. We will be able to utilize the pool in the morning hours. Our pool does not open to members until 12. So Camp JCC will have access to the pool from 9:15 to 12. So we will not have twice a day swim return. We will be introducing and incorporating more water activities in the afternoon to keep them warm and keep them cool, not warm. And so I know that there was also a question about how were we going to maintain distancing within the pool. So we are going to work to do our best to utilize those 3 sections based on enrollment and how many bunks we end up with each week. There could be a week where your camper's bunk is the only one in the pool and they're utilizing their area of the pool. There could be other weeks where they're going to have to utilize the shallowest end of our pool and the other bunk will utilize the opposite end. And we'll base that on swim abilities of the bunk. And during that, again, back to the bunk bubble, that's their pod. We're treating them as a family unit during that week. So they'll be able to get within 6 feet of each other for those bunk programs. They will not be interacting within 6 feet of anybody else during the camp day. Specialists are returning this summer. We have 3 specialist areas: arts and culture, sports and games, and nature and exploration. And those specialists will be trained and comfortable facilitating those activities from a distance and while masked. So we're not concerned about them, being exposed to any positive case, and they'll be, again, trained to facilitate those activities from a distance. Those bunks will still have their counselors with them. So if they're working on an art project and a camper does need a little extra assistance, or if, they fall during a sport activity, their counselor will be able to get closer. In this picture is something new for 2021. Excuse me. It's our wooded rec area. And you might not be able to tell, but to the left in the background, that's actually an outdoor wooden bowling alley. There's no pin set up on it in this picture, but we do have bowling sets, and the kids in the after school program have utilized it and enjoy it. You can see the campers here playing some basketball. There's two hoops, and then cornhole you can see on the ground. We have 3 cornhole sets in this area, and not pictured, but is over to the right, is a football toss. So this is 1,800 square feet of cleared area in our woods, which I'm really excited for the campers to see this and utilize it this summer. And then also returning will be weekly themes, dress up days, and Friday fun days. We do not have field trips on here, and that's because we are not reintroducing them for 2021. So you might be on this call ready to enroll, but not sure what to do next. So some things that you should keep in mind is that we don't have a registration deadline, but we are asking, if at all possible, to please get your registrations in by May 17th. That's when we're going to be really looking at our staffing structure, and for those staff that have applied and who we can bring on board based on our enrollment. After May 17th, we're not able to guarantee your camper a place. As of right now, I'm not concerned that we're going to hit capacity, but we do have registrations rolling in, I'm grateful to say, every day. Weekly deposit is still $25 per week per camper. And our payment schedule has changed For those that either have never been a part of Camp JCC or remember it from 2019, we're now processing your payment. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Processing your payment 7 days from the start of your camper's first week. So if you're registered for week 1, which starts on June 21st, your payment for that week will be processed 7 days before that, and then so on and so forth. So no longer are you required to pay for all of camp by June 10th. And so we also have, I just wanted to mention that if you do need a different payment schedule or a different payment plan, that we want to be as flexible as we can this summer. So please reach out to the business office. You can contact the JCC number, or you can contact me and I can connect you with our business office. And they'd be happy to work out a different payment plan for your family. We do have financial assistance available. That process is handled by our CFO and a specific committee. So I'm not involved in that process, but I'm happy to connect you with the right people and get you the information as needed. And our refund policy, again, just in the interest of being as flexible as possible and understanding, until May 17th, you can change your registration, cancel certain weeks, add weeks without any financial burden. So you will receive your refund of your deposit back if you need to cancel. And after May 17th, you will forfeit the $25 if you need to cancel. If you're transferring, that's fine. And then we asked, once the summer, if you're giving us at least 10 days notice prior to the week you need to cancel, again, you're forfeiting your $25 deposit per week. Beyond that, you'll receive the rest of your monies refunded. We know that there's always exceptions to rules and extreme circumstances, so please just communicate with us, and we want to be as transparent and flexible as possible. So I know that went quickly. I spoke quickly, and so I'm going to just ask Becky if there's any questions that are in the chat, and I know that there were some questions that were submitted beforehand, and I'm sure I didn't get to all of them. So Becky will let me know what's there.
So I do see a couple questions coming in. Will masks be required to be worn by staff and campers outside?
Yes. So campers and staff, as of right now, that is the guideline, that we're masked at all times. I don't foresee that changing. When the appropriate times for the mask to be removed are when they're further than 6 feet from any other person, they can remove their mask. So during our, this is happening right now in our Kids Place program, our after school program, the kids are very adaptable. They're not having troubles with it. The counselors might need to remind them, like, to move further away, to back up, to say to somebody, I need a mask break, or I'm going to drink water, so that way their friends don't come close. So it's just about communication. And we didn't have masks policy at the start of our summer program, but we did end with that policy, and it was better received than I thought it was going to be.
And can you talk a little bit about families that have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old and the same hours and the registration?
Sure. So for anybody who is younger than entering first grade and interested in coming to the JCC this summer, that registration is going to be handled through our Early Childhood Center. And that registration will open on Monday, March 1st. So this upcoming Monday, there'll be all of the fees and all of the important forms that you'll need to fill out available. I can tell you that their registration is not going to be weekly, as Camp JCC is, and their registration will be monthly. So you will need to commit to the full month of June and or the full month of July and or the full month of August. As far as the hours, those hours are going to be the same, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And in terms of, Becky, was there a membership question on that too? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna get to that.
Okay.
Does a summer membership apply to the camp membership discounts?
Yes. So how that will work, our summer family membership is open right now. So you can join as a summer family right now. There is, spoiler alert, there's a promotion that will be, you will receive the full month of May. So typically our summer membership is from Memorial Day to Labor Day. A special that we're running is that you'll get the whole month of May. The pool won't open earlier than Memorial Day, so keep that in mind, but you'll have access to the other facilities. So you could choose to register or join as a summer member now, and those camp fees would automatically reflect that you're a member when you go to register. If you choose to register for camp and then join at a later date, we will then go ahead and prorate and adjust your camp fees to reflect the member pricing. So you will see that the non-member pricing comes up for you when you go to register, but know that we'll fix that on the back end after you do join.
Carrie, can you talk about whether or not people can sign up for partial weeks?
Yeah. So unfortunately, no. It's a Monday through Friday program. And you know, what I tell parents is just like, if you just weigh what that risk or not risk, the cost and why you need to shorten your week. Like, is it worth it for your family and your schedule to pay for the 5-day program, but only utilize less than that?
I think we got through all of the questions that have come up and that
Okay.
were asked previously.
Okay.
What I can do is one just came in. Can you talk about eating? How large does a group eat together? Is it outside?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you. So we sit on, for those that aren't familiar with our campus, we do sit on 32 acres. So we have ample outdoor space. So we will utilize our picnic grove and those covered pavilions for our camp groups. There will be 3 to 4 kids per table when eating, and then the counselors, you know, keep their mask on and walk around. Our staff do receive 1 hour lunch break. So we ask them to please reserve their eating until their break, so they can safely monitor and supervise the kids during lunch and snack. So we will provide time in the afternoon for snack.
Thank you. And then can you talk about arrival and dismissal and, you know, time of day that kids can come and go?
Yeah. So our car line in the morning will be from 8 to 8:45, and our car line in the afternoon will be from 4:30 to 5. We will run 1 car line this summer, and that'll be back in our typical spot in front of the picnic grove. And we will run car line similarly to 2020. As long as, you know, we are required to temperature check and ask those health screening questions, such as, are you experiencing any, and you being the camper experiencing any symptoms related to COVID, or have you been in contact with a COVID positive person within the past 14 days. So there are going to still be some exclusionary questions. And as of right now, the temperature is still 100.4 or higher is exclusionary. So if your camper does arrive to camp with a temperature of 100.5, we will need to ask you to take that camper home, and they'll have to be fever-free without medicine for 24 hours. I don't know what the exact policy will be for receiving a negative COVID test or a doctor's note, but right now that is a part of the guidelines that we need one of those in order to return to program.
And then this is the last question that I see. How are the kids grouped together?
Oh, thank you so much for asking that question. So we will have our units are returning. So Olim, Haverim, Yeladim, and Nararim. And Olim will be our first and second graders. We are grouping regardless of gender identity. So there will be boys and girls together and in each bunk. And you could be with a grade younger or a grade older. So those age groups, again, I didn't finish those, are first and second together in Olim, third and fourth in Haverim, fifth and sixth in Yeladim, and then seventh and eighth in Nararim.
Great, thank you. Those are all the questions that I see.
I do know that somebody had asked me prior to this, and I forgot to touch on it, what the differences will be at an activity for, you know, a second grader as opposed to somebody who's in, you know, seventh grade. And so I'm excited that the specialists are returning this summer because they have more experience in their area, and that's why they're a specialist. So I'll look to them to vary appropriately the difficulty and the content of their program, and know that the older campers will have more freedoms than our younger campers. So I know that was a question that some older campers have.
Thank you for stating that. We did have time for another question to come in. And that question is, can we make bunk requests?
Oh, I'm so glad you guys are asking the questions I forgot to touch on during this presentation. Yeah, so we are not formally asking for bunk requests to come in. And that's just really not based on that we don't want to honor them. It's based on if we ask it, then you probably have an expectation that we're going to do it. And again, based on enrollment and group size, we can't guarantee it this summer. I welcome them to come in via email. I've already received a few, and I'm making a note and I'm letting those people know as they come in. Again, I can't guarantee it. What I can guarantee is that I've made a note, and if at all possible, I will honor that request. I will say that it does need to be mutual. So if Jonah is requesting Jackson, then Jackson also needs to request Jonah. So there does need to be some communication on the family side to make sure that both parents are sending that in.
Great, thank you so much, Carrie, and thanks to all the attendees for the great questions.
So before I end the call, I did just want to share some resources. This may be my first webinar. I didn't realize that these links were not clickable for you guys. So you can, I think Becky might be able to drop those in the chat if she hasn't done that already for you. But I did want to let you know that we are updating our web pages as we move through the spring. And as new information is forthcoming, we will update those pages. Also, if you know, as you move through the spring, you have some additional questions that you want to have answered, you're more than welcome to email or call us. I will also have an every other Tuesday open Zoom from 12:30 to 1:30. You can register for that, or you can just go onto our website and we'll have a link on there, and you can just join anytime between 12:30 and 1:30 and ask me what you need to ask me. And then we also have a tour form on our website. So you can schedule a tour with me. We're not planning right now any formal open houses for the community on site. So for anybody who's interested in seeing our property that hasn't done so before, I do really encourage you to schedule a tour. And I will be as flexible as I can. I have 2 tours on Sunday, so the weekends are not off limits. I'm happy to work around your schedules. Okay, well, I don't see anything else flashing, so I think that, like Becky said, our questions were answered. I hope that this was worthwhile for everybody. Thank you for joining us, and I really look forward to meeting you and your campers this summer.